James is having tomato vegetable soup with a, he can eat, he's already eaten some of the sandwich from the sandwich plate, and tiramisu with strawberries and pineapple. I'm going to be talking about to have and have not. That got top of the stack. Exit plan and then the nest. And I'm going to review Popular Wildflowers of the Canadian Prairies by Neil L. Jennings. And I'm going to talk about this one too because he put out this book as well. So I'll show you first I'll show you a few things about this. They're made very small. They're just narrow little publications. So it's like packing around a little magazine or something. And oftentimes you don't need more than that. So I had this bookmarked, now I don't. Here. So the photos in this are small. You can see this is the Rockies one that I'm showing you. So here is showy Jacob's ladder. And if you look over here, he has this listed as Sky Pilot, but this plant is not Sky Pilot. This is actually another showy Jacob's ladder plant. And you can easily tell that. The leaves are the same. And this is nothing like Sky Pilot, which I saw a lot of yesterday. But having said that, it may be difficult for people to tell the difference if they don't know what the plant looks like. This, you're not going to mistake. Out in the wild, you're going to know that when you find a shooting star and you look in the book, you're like, oh, okay, yep, that's it. But other plants, it may be hard for you to tell what they are while you're out in the field. And sometimes, I mean, you rely on, like this one. I don't know if that's going to be that easy to find, that bottom one there. Just by the picture. And so a lot of the time when you're out, when you're looking for wildflower books, you're just looking through and you're out in the field, and these are great to pack out in the field because they're not big. But you're flipping through and these are nicely coated with the colors, so you can go, okay, I got a red flower. Anyway, but and yeah, nobody's gonna know what that is by that picture. Anyway, so what was I gonna say about that? I just got distracted by looking at another picture that's, I mean, why even put that in? Okay, so that's that one. Are you going to be able to identify water buttercup now? No. You're never going to find that in the field with this picture. So a lot of the time, you're looking through the book at first and you're like, oh, this is a good one. The pictures are really good. I can see. But then you might come across some plants that are similar or something. Like there are many types of violets or cinquefoils or asters, and you're like, oh, how can I tell these apart then, right? Well, the descriptions come in handy at that point, you know. So sometimes you can't just go by the picture and go, oh yeah, I found this one. Sometimes the descriptions can help, like where a person finds them. Because if I just tell you, oh, I found this plant in Waterton, good luck finding it, you know, because there's a lot of varied terrain. I might be up 2,200 feet, I might be, you know, whatever, and that's gonna make a difference. I'm not gonna necessarily find the same plants down on Wishbone Trail, or even a part of Wishbone Trail. There's one plant that I'm thinking of, and you're probably thinking of it too, that only grows along the Sofa Creek, along Wishbone Trail. So if I tell you, oh, I found this on Wishbone Trail, and you're scoping around and you give up before you get to Sofa Creek, oh, well, you haven't found it.
Is that the mountain avids?
Yes, yellow mountain avids. He guessed it right away. And you're going to find that in a lot of places in Waterton. But so that's not a great example of things. But if I'm looking for, say, What's one that we found in?
Yeah, well, that nice little lovely one. We saw 2 examples of it up high. I've forgotten the name.
Oh, you mean the alpine poppy that we saw yesterday? Or are you talking
Yeah,
about
exactly right. Now I don't know if they specified exactly on where the trail was, where it was on the trail, but as I recall, it was basically on the summit.
that? Yes. So
And it's
if
the trail we
that's
were
a
on
very good
is,
example because we were on Carthew Alderson, and that's a long trail.
Yeah, so we went
Especially if you
on
take it from
one
Cameron and you go all the way down to, like if you start at Cameron Lake and you go all the way down to Cameron Falls. Well, you're seeing a lot of different environments for plants, a lot of different.
So I think Waterton is like maybe 1,300 feet above sea level, and we were topped out at more than 2,300.
Yeah.
And because we went out to that lookout, now there wasn't much vegetation along there, but I think there was some.
Yeah, there was.
It was
Yeah.
quite a rocky sort of
But
thing.
I didn't find anything new there. I just went because James
Yeah.
wanted to go, king of the mountain kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
So, anyway, but I did see some white mountain avens there. Speaking of yellow mountain avens, which you won't find it in the same spot as the white. So the white mountain avens is up on Carthew Alderson, and I'd hoped to see that yesterday, and sure enough I did.
That was way up there as opposed to, we've seen the yellow ones at lower levels.
Mhm.
They both seem to like rocky, dry terrain.
Yeah. But it's good to know. It's good to learn about these plants, right? And it's hard to learn about them if I tell you something like, oh yeah, I saw that on Carthew Alderson. Good luck. That's a long trail.
So
And-
we did 19.6 kilometers, and you take 0.8 off for the return to the viewpoint.
Yeah.
So it would be something like 18.8 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was around 20, but a little bit less than that. So that's a lot of landscape to cover, and to just say it's on that particular trail. It's hard to keep alert. Pauline's done a great job of hitting a lot of trails this year and keeping alert, watching, and a return trip helps. Because,
well, I know what I'm going to be. Like, I do a lot of research beforehand, and I'm like, okay, you're going to be around there. I'm going to see you around there, and I'm really keeping an eye out, and...
So she'll be picking out plants that are about this high.
Thimbleberry on a whole trail, like a huge...
all over it and around it.
Yeah, exactly. It's somehow I have some good angels helping me find these plants. Because, lesser wintergreen that we found yesterday. Awesome. So, but yeah, James really liked the alpine poppies, and that was a highlight.
They are
until I found
absolutely beautiful. There were only
absolutely,
2 of them.
Yeah.
And
well, there might have been some more up on because if we had went up to that, like either of those summits that the young, well, one man wasn't so young. I think it was a father and son combo. They were amazing.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
Very
just
nice
scurried up,
folks.
no problem.
They even had time to chat with me. That was on their initiative. It's kind of unusual for people to.
Yeah,
chat with
James
me
is
on
the
their initiative.
talkative one.
And they went up to the Carthew summit, and then after they went, and they got up there fast. We could have been thinking, they didn't really go up there, but they went up on the Alderson Peak, and we saw them up there. They looked like
little
gnats. Not even ants. It was incredible. And what was really incredible is how fast they got up there. Wow. And it was a little bit breezy, but neither of them had much sail. That's a term in forestry.
Yeah, the real hikers when you see them because they're rake thin, they're just
built like Djokovic and stuff like that. The one guy said he liked tennis, I think, and I'm going, yeah. But he's doing the right thing. This is a lot better than tennis, getting out and hiking in the
Well, that's just it. I mean, we're on a trail with a football team and a couple coaches,
a couple of football players.
The people who do Carthew Alderson they're serious. They're serious about hiking, about physical fitness and whatever. I mean, most don't do it like we do. We're the first to go out and the last to come in kind of thing, because we're slow. We're looking for the plants along the way.
Well,
or at least I am.
you know, we have to pace ourselves.
That's
Me
it,
because
too.
my back.
Yeah.
Pauline because of other and a couple other things. And what Pauline does is very efficient, time efficient, because she paces herself, but she's identifying flowers,
Yeah.
singing songs to
So
flowers.
that's when I
and
take my
things like
breaks.
that.
I
Yeah.
get to
And
look for the plants.
me, I have to take breaks when they occur and stuff like that. But you know, I will be usually on the trails. I'm a little bit faster than Pauline, but you know, I let her go first usually, and then I'll catch up.
Yeah, because
And
I'll
then
be
I'll look at
singing
the
a song
scenery,
eventually.
and I'm trying to look at geology, trying to be able to identify the mountains, because mountains are just like, oh, here's, you know, like we tend to think of mountains maybe as being like volcanoes, kind of separate, but you've seen how there'll be
They're very
ridges
different
and
looking.
chains. The mountains will be really long.
Yeah, and that's another
complicated.
thing that's really nice about Waterton right now. The trees aren't hiding the rock. So if you're interested in learning about the different rock formations and stuff, then it's great to go right now.
That's one of the good things
And it's
about
great
the fire.
to go for flowers
For
because
flowers, because the
you can
flowers
see
are
them.
coming out.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
it's
very
not
nice.
just fireweed. Fireweed
Yeah.
it does come out after fires, I presume.
But anyway, I was going to say the descriptions in these books, they're not very good. I don't care for them. They're just very incomplete. I don't have information about the leaves for the most part, or where I can find them exactly. And I know that, well, this one, the Canadian Rockies, that's a pretty big area for such a narrow book. And same with this. This is a pretty big area for such a
thin book.
Thin volume, right? Even though the pictures are small. And I was really frustrated with this book at first because I'm finding things like Prince's Pine in the popular Wildflowers of Canadian Prairies, and I'm like, come on, you know, that's a bit. Or, you know, so I showed you Water Buttercup earlier, that there's the one I said nobody would be able to identify by Water Buttercup by this picture, you know. There's a lot of, so it's not just prairie plants, there's wetland sort of plants in here, like pitcher plant and such. But honestly, it'd be nice if there was a little note, you will find this at, what is it, Prince, where do we find we found a lot at Prince, was it Prince Albert? Is that what it?
National Park.
National Park?
No, Prince Albert National Park.
There's some
In
good wetland plants
northern
there.
Saskatchewan. It's really like central Saskatchewan, but
And that's one thing about the prairies. There's a lot of wetlands.
there are
through it,
surprising
so,
well.
yeah, you just have to know where to look. But
Yeah.
he doesn't give an indication of that in here. It's just like, oh, here's this plant you might find in the prairies, and it's like, okay, good luck. 'Cause, anyway.
We wouldn't have so many red-winged blackbirds if there weren't so many wetlands. You'll see them in ditches and stuff like that, where there are reeds and other kind of watery type plants. But usually you see them around reeds.
But I mean, there's a lot of these two books. Once I got this one out first from the library, and then I got this one. You can see I have many bookmarks. But is it interesting, Angel? Anyway, so when I got this one out, I was more excited to get this one from the library, and then I was more disappointed by this book because he has a lot of. He's written them so that if you just buy one book, then you have the flowers. But how I like to do things is I say, okay, well, let's start hiking in the coulees around, the beginning of May or something like that, right? Or maybe
Oh,
even
we
a little
start
bit
earlier
earlier.
than that. As
Yeah.
soon as the snow breaks.
Yeah.
So.
And then we're
I
looking
think we
for plants.
did April.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the season.
Mm-hmm.
If it's really muddy, well, we're not going to get out there.
Exactly right.
But anyway, so, usually April's good. So we get out there and we start looking at plants and identifying. And a lot of the plants that you're going to see in the coulees in Lethbridge, or if you live in a larger city like Calgary, you'll see them in Calgary.
Calgary's got a nice park,
sure.
Nose Hill Park, but it's got I think a pretty good trail.
It has some nice trail system.
Yeah.
So
Urban.
Anyway, so if you're there, you're best to start identifying the plants there, right at home, rather than going the mountains. They're not going to be doing anything yet. It's going to be a lot of snow. It takes a while for things to melt. So you identify the plants in Lethbridge while you're hiking, getting in shape so that you can actually hike in Waterton, or if you're in Calgary, Banff, whatever.
It's easier here because we've got the coulees system.
Yeah.
And it's about 100 meters deep. So
so you get the vertical workout as well when you're training for the mountain climbing.
It's excellent,
it's really great.
We find out that all we got to do is really once we build up to. We like doing. It's quite steep. Cottonwood Park,
coming out of
Cottonwood Park, and we find that that'll give us enough muscular fitness so that we're not feeling pain when we do a lot of inclines, because it's about as steep as any incline that we're going to be on, where it's going to be even a strenuous, very strenuous, not so much, but that's awesome when you can do that on just with one walk. It might take us about an hour, and the whole route, the whole circuit and stuff like that. The one walk will give us that muscular fitness. So you usually feel it a little bit in the glutes and in quadriceps after doing that, but then we don't feel it up in the mountains.
Yeah.
And with a whole lot longer length in the mountains and stuff like that. So it's you build up.
So honestly, I would have rather he did a prairie book and then a supplemental Rocky Mountain book that had that doesn't have the plants that you see in the prairie, because there's a lot of duplication in here, and there's so many more plants that you could feature in the Rocky Mountain. Especially, this is a huge area, Canadian Rockies. Come on, that's huge. Just do Waterton, and you should be able to come up with a thicker book than this for flowers.
Honestly, they say that Waterton has 50% of all the plant species to be found.
This was a huge disappointment. I would not recommend this book, and I feel bad saying that. I know the guy went to a lot of work making these things, but the descriptions aren't up to snuff, and the prairie one's better. It's not the best prairie wildflower identification book that I've seen either, though. And I think a lot of the time people just rush out publications. They think, okay, well, I better make my money now, and then I can always come up with a revised edition. You see that so many times now. It's like, that the book wasn't up to snuff in the first place if they're having to make revisions, new revised editions along the way, and it's really disappointing. But having said that, it is nice and thin. It is easy to carry with you, and there are a lot of plants in these books that you will see in the mountains. So for a beginner, somebody just wanting to learn a few plants, you might find, I really don't want to learn a few plants after you're looking, or that's enough for me. Then maybe that's okay. Borrow one of these from the library and take it along with you. It's easy to pack, and see if that's what you want to do. You might not. You might think that you want to learn the plants, and then you get out there and you're like, this wasn't what I thought it would be. Or whatever.
thin and easy to carry. Maybe we can introduce Angel, kind of like Pauline's consultant.
Yeah, she
for
wanted to come
a lot
out
of this
today.
stuff. But she's a very good cuddler. She has trouble with a lot of things these days with
Yeah, she
eyesight
can't
and so
see
on
too
and so
well.
forth. But she is a good cuddler, so she does help you with when
Yeah.
you're writing poetry and things like
She's
that.
very helpful. So to have and have not. I really enjoyed watching this movie. It's not my favorite Humphrey Bogart thing, but honestly, I enjoy watching Humphrey Bogart. He's not really an attractive man. I don't think anybody would say that. So, I mean, he's a good actor.
He's pretty good now.
Yeah.
Especially for his era.
And thankfully he was, or this movie would have flopped, because Lauren Bacall, wow.
I think she was a model.
And, but somehow the movie worked even with her. So it would be nice, now that we have computer technology and stuff, for them to make a movie with Humphrey Bogart and a leading lady who can act to redo this movie, you know, so that, but maybe that's in years to come. They'll be able to change it a little bit. That's right. But yeah, really, I like the songs. I'm listening to the songs in this movie, and I think this is great. You know, it's awesome too. James and I were talking about how they used to write songs so that people could sing along to them, and the rhythm and the rhyme and everything was catchy.
So there'd be a limited vocal range. That would be the ideal. Relatively limited.
And so you would instantly almost remember these songs. Like I can remember lines from, I just watched the movie once. And I remember I could hum along the song tune right now, or a couple of the songs there, and I remember a couple of the lines, you know, and then if I watch it again, I would remember more. And it's amazing how successfully they used to write songs so that they would really catch on.
The other thing they'd strive for in the lyrics is cliche. What is it, that one that Sinatra would do? I get a kick out of you, or something like that. He always go, I get a kick out of you. And you can imagine Frank Sinatra kicking his dog, or frankly, I don't want to joke about it, but the women he was hanging with.
So yeah, the story in this is great. The songs are great. The acting on Bogart's part is great. And it's definitely worth watching. This is the one where you just put your lips together and blow. So if you're like, oh, which one was that? Yeah, that's the one. Exit Plan. There's some subtitles in this one, but it's kind of interesting. It's interesting enough that it got me watching it. It's not all subtitles. There's English too. So, but you would have to read some subtitles to really get what was going on with the story. And it really gives a bit of it's kind of a mind trip watching this. And it gives you a bit of, it raises questions or interest or whatever in our perception of life and death and all that sort of thing. So anyway, I enjoyed it enough. It was okay. And The Nest, it's a crime drama that will be your new TV obsession, says Hare, Ireland, or Her, I don't know what it is.
Her, it looks like. I don't associate that with any Irish word, but I don't know. I'm not really expert in Irish. I've taken some at the University, Old Irish.
I'm really tired.
I'm studying
anyway.
modern Irish.
So, it was not my new TV obsession, but it wasn't bad. It's they talk about, they deal with the whole issues of a couple not being able to have a child. So they've went through everything, in vitro, everything. They've tried to have a child. And then they have one egg left. And the woman has just a chance encounter with an 18-year-old woman, And she says we could help each other out. You know, you could carry my baby for me, and I could pay you and take care of you and whatever. And so it doesn't end up great. There's a lot of stress involved. I mean, for one thing, this woman, she's the wife, you know, the wannabe mother. She is a nurturing sort of type. So she sees this young woman who's messed up, and she wants to help her. She wants to nurture. Well, you don't pick a woman who is really messed up to be the mother of your child. That's who would do that? But a nurturing woman like her, she wants to nurture, and so she wants to nurture this young woman as well as her child. You see, so it's actually a believable story. It's believable that she would want this, and it doesn't end up so well. So it brings up a lot of issues that people have. I know I was thinking when it was coming near my I was almost menopausal. I knew I didn't have much time, and I went to the fertility clinic, and it felt wrong. Everything, it felt, I knew that it wasn't right, and I kept thinking, here, you know, it's the system. Like, I had no problem with fertility when I was young, and then medical intervention, and all of a sudden I have fertility problems, and I'm like, okay, so now do I trust the people who, the system who gave me problems to actually fix them? This is ridiculous. And not only that, but they want me to pay them so that they can fix these problems that they started.
And pay,
so
it's like
it through the nose.
Huge.
So that didn't feel right about it. And then at the same time, I'm thinking, and you don't even know if you go through the process, and you don't know if it's your baby in the end. Really, they're fiddling around in there, and you don't know what they're doing. So they deal with that in this. And do I think that I did the wrong thing by not trying to get funding or something like that together, or not spending, you know, selling our houses and whatever so that so we were able to try? No, I don't think. At that point, you don't make the decision at the last minute like that and whatever. It was already done. So it's sad, but it's true. And I don't think I made the wrong one. I mean, it's too bad for society that we weren't able to raise children, because we would have raised good ones. But we won't be around for much longer anyway. So it's not for us. Anyway, that's all I have to talk about. They did a good job. So all of these movies are worth watching. And, I mean, we just borrow them from the public libraries.
That last thing was a movie, or was it a series?
It was a series.
It's a series. I just wanted to make that. I wanted to make that clear.
Mm-hmm.
Her. I think it's Her.